Welcome to your CCPS Science Review Lab. Let's take a look at our big idea for today. What do you think these two images have in common? Other than those swanky colors, of course. Well, if you said that both of these images talk about different kinds of forces or show different kinds of forces in action, you would be 100% correct. When we talk about force and motion, we can take forces and break them down or organize them into two big categories. We look at those categories as contact forces versus non-contact forces. Now, this isn't too tricky to remember because we're using the word contact the way we use it in everyday English. So the idea that when things come in contact with each other, they touch. So contact forces come about by the interaction between two objects that are touching each other. So when we go back and we look at our original pictures, we can see that the football player is kicking the football. So his foot is coming into contact with the football. Therefore, that falls under the category of a contact force. Now, we also have non-contact forces. And that's where two objects don't need to touch each other to be attracted or repel from each other. For example, magnets. We look at our first picture again, we can see that those metal filings, those iron filings, do not have to touch to get pulled over to the magnet. That magnetic force brings those iron filings over because it is a non-contact force. So, contact forces, non-contact forces. Let's look at some specifics that would be considered contact forces. We've got applied force. That's what's happening when this baseball bat applies force to the baseball. We've got spring force. You've got drag force, friction force, and I feel like the most complicated out of these is normal force. And that's the idea that when something is sitting on a surface and gravity is pulling it down, that object is resisting in the opposite direction. We call that normal force. And we'll talk more about that as we get into forces in general. Now, we also have non-contact forces. We said we've got magnetic force, electric force, and gravitational force. Okay, so those are examples of non-contact forces. Now's a chance for you to show what you know. I'd like you to study these two pictures, one on top and one on the bottom, and think about the forces that are occurring there. I want you to create two columns for each picture. One for contact forces that are happening, and one for non-contact forces. And even if you can't look at those and name the type of contact or non-contact force, describe it for me. What two things are interacting and where are they pushing or pulling from and to? Good luck!